All right, choir. The question I pose to you is, how have you encountered the power of music in your own life?
As a teenager, improvising music instrumentally with peers was the first time I felt secure and approved of by peers, and that continues today, even in this group. Very powerful for me.
There's something that is different from any other experience in singing in that you really produce the music with your own body. Mm-hmm. And to be with other people who are also doing that and create something beautiful together that is different than what anybody could do by themselves is just really, it's an experience that really is without parallel.
Choral music has always been very powerful for me. First as a little child, singing in a little children's choir, and then on into the grades and through college when we sang with combined choirs. We would rehearse separately and then combine, and it's always when that combined choir gets together and sings for the first time, it just does something too. And most recently, the interfaith choir singing We Are One. That does it to me every time.
The many different protest marches that I've been on, from 1 million people down to maybe only 20, when we sing together, it's just a stirring moment that moves me often to tears, but the sense of community of that is beyond words.
To my mind, talking about music is like dancing about welding.
There's something about singing in harmony, whether it's with 3,000 people or your 4 voices, Michael, on the different tracks today. It's just a way to be so heart connected, so personally connected, and with something that's just so special. I feel really lucky to be able to do it.
I remember growing up through very young childhood, singing around the house and singing with the choir at the UU church when I was in 2nd and 3rd grade, even to this day, where music is just such an integral part of my life, and how much I miss group singing. Can you imagine a memorial service without singing? Singing is emotion, pure and simple.
The power of music has been able to control my emotions completely. It has been able to make me happy. It's been able to make me sad. It's been able to make me work hard and be encouraged and industrious, and it has made me fall in love. It's been just all of my emotions are controlled by music completely.
When I began my journey into ministry, the idea of singing by myself in front of people, I would have rather taken my clothes off, I think. It felt so vulnerable. By singing with the choir every week, it's become a spiritual practice. I was a consumer of music, and now I'm a maker of music. And I have written a song and sung it with some of you folks at my mother's memorial service. It's a way of connecting to the divine.
My first experience in choral music is when I joined the high school choir as a senior. I had never even heard much of anything in the way of choral music. And we managed to put together to sing Beethoven's Ninth. Power of voices singing together was something brand new to me, and I thought it was just amazing.
Music has just been carried through my entire life, developed family relationships with music. And I just realized when you asked the question that the connections that I've made, the friendships, really, music has been a vehicle. And it's now kind of become a part of my meditation practice. So it's also a connection within.
I didn't sing in any choral environment until I was almost 50 years old, going through some life changes at the time. And I just find today that it is the most enjoyable way to express myself athletically and artistically. I never really appreciated it was such an athletic endeavor. Singing makes me feel real good.
I think it was Mozart's Requiem. I just was blown away. I mean, it was just such a beautiful thing to share, with everybody that was singing. I remember, I think I had tears running down my face at that point.
Music for me, of course, has been a through line of my life, both as a practitioner and as an appreciator. I don't think that there's any experience of cultural significance that music is not a part of. It's a language that everyone understands. It bridges all cultures. It's a part of every human culture. And I think that it has a ability to express an emotional content of our spirits in a way that language often fails. One of my favorite things to do in the creation of music is to play for singers. One of the magical things about singing, you have not only the language of music and the musical expression, but you also get the layer of text. So you can create an almost complete experience for anything that you need with choral music.
Hard to speak after that, little brother. But music has had an incredible power, as Calvin mentioned, throughout our whole lives. The notion that it does feed your spirit and connect the world is, without a doubt, the power of music. On September 11th, in the following week, there was an interfaith multi-church choir in Boston that did Fauré's Requiem. And that had to be one of the most powerful experiences. We tried that again at Chautauqua, and Chautauqua did great, but the lights were too much for me and I passed out. So that was different.
My mother was a musician, and when I was 7, she insisted that I learn the violin. I hated it. But I was a dutiful child, and now I have, of course, come to love it. I can't thank you enough for letting me sing again with you people, because I miss my orchestra so much.
When I was 5, I decided to become a ballet dancer, and I became a ballet dancer. So music was just always part of my life. I can't imagine not having music. And I didn't want to learn the piano. Oh, listen to your mother, because then long years later, it would have been so nice when I started singing to know how to play the piano instead of 2 digits. You know?
I have sung in choir since I was 7 years old. I sang in college. I really love it. But my first love is the piano.
A lot of us have described things in our life that were affected by music, but it's basically an indescribable aspect of one's life. Aaron Copland describes the difference between a great composer and a lesser one as one that every time you hear something from a great composer, you get something different from it. That's another way of describing something that is really indescribable, unlike welding.
It's been something like a religion for me, allows me to express emotion and feel it, and I can't really talk about it very well.
She could sing a 1960s commercial for you, though. just ask.